Too binky or not too binky? That is today's question. In this video, I'm going to talk you through 7 great pros to using pacifiers and 7 cons that are drawbacks to using pacifiers, so that you can make the best decision for your child and your family. Then I'm going to talk you through 3 quick tips so that if you do decide to use pacifiers, your journey with them will be as smooth as possible. Welcome to Learning with Love. This is a channel for you dedicated parents that are taking the time to research and learn about your baby and their needs so that you can do the best things possible for them. On this channel, I offer advice, tips, research, and support to help you in your parenting journey. I hope you like this video. The YouTube algorithm favors videos that you click like for, so if you find the information in this video useful to you, please click like so that hopefully other parents who are facing the same issues will be able to find this video as well. The first pro to using pacifiers is that they calm fussy babies. And I noticed that even many lists that talk about the pros and cons of pacifiers leave this out entirely, but that's the whole point. The reason that you might want to use a pacifier is to help your baby be calmed and be soothed. In their early few months especially, babies have a very strong desire to suck. And that sucking need, when it's fulfilled by a pacifier, helps them feel calm and happy. So that's a great plus for your baby, that they get to feel calmer, happier, more easily. Number 2, pacifiers reduce nipple reliance. So when babies are really little, they like to suck all the time, and they will suck while they're nursing, but then even when they're through nursing, they're going to continue to want to suck. And they'll do that by continuing to nurse or continuing to suck on a nipple or the breast. So the problem with that is that it can become very tiring for a mom's nipples, for your nipples maybe, if the baby is continuing to suck even when they're through nursing. So the pacifier can help give your nipples a break. In other words, when they're through nursing, but they still want to suck, you can offer a pacifier to a baby, and that can help soothe them without being such a burden or a stress on your breast. Because also, especially in the nursing journey, your nipples can get quite sore. So the pacifier might be a very welcome relief. Number 3, pacifiers can lessen whining and crying. Now, I include this as a separate point than the first one because this is really talking about your needs as a parent now, not so much the child's needs. Clearly, when their needs are met and they are not upset, they're going to cry and whine less. But what that means for you is that you have to listen to crying and whining less. And that's important. Humans are designed to find whining and crying to be the most irritating sound in the world. And the reason is that that's supposed to make you jump up and go help your baby, which is a wonderful thing. But the downside to that is if you're listening to crying and whining all day long, it can be extremely taxing and stressful on you as a parent. So if there's an easy way to soothe your baby so that you don't have to listen to whining all day, that is a great win. Number 4, pacifiers can be a useful sleep prop. Getting a baby to sleep in their crib or sleep comfortably alone is a challenge, and it's a process. And while it is best to use as few aids or props as possible, there is a time and place for them, and they can be helpful. So if you find a pacifier to be a useful prop that helps your baby fall asleep more easily, that could be a very useful tool for you. Number 5, there are lots of times when you simply can't nurse your baby. So they have this sucking need, but you can't meet it because you can't be holding them necessarily at that time. The most common places for this are a stroller, a plane, or a car. So in these places, having a binky is a great way to be able to offer them something that will soothe them throughout that journey. Number 6, pacifiers have been shown to reduce the risk of SIDS. We're not exactly sure why. It could be because children don't sleep quite as deeply when they're sucking throughout their sleep, but pacifiers have been shown to be linked with a lower likelihood of SIDS, so obviously that's a wonderful thing. Number 7, perhaps the best thing about pacifiers is that they can be taken away. So babies have a strong desire to suck in their early months, in their first few months, and really for that first year. But after that, that need goes away. But if they've established a habit of sucking on something else, let's say their thumb, the problem is that then they've developed a thumb sucking or pacifier sucking habit, and then the habit will stay with them past the time that they actually need to suck on something. So the great thing about a pacifier is that you can end that habit by taking the pacifier away, whereas if you have a child who has a habit of sucking on a thumb, you can't really take that away. It's much harder to deal with. Now we're going to jump into the 7 cons of pacifiers. So I'm going to talk you through those one at a time. Number 1, the first con to pacifier use is that it can interfere with nursing. So a couple quick things to help you with this. Number 1, you never want to introduce pacifiers until nursing is established. So wait at least 2 or 3 weeks after your baby is born to introduce a pacifier. Make sure nursing is established and then you're good to go. Beyond that, if your child is not gaining weight properly, then you might want to reduce the pacifier use or take it away, because you want to make sure that the child is not satisfying their need for food with a pacifier, because obviously that won't work. So when they're hungry, they need to nurse, and just when they need to be soothed for sucking, that's when they can have a pacifier. Number 2, pacifiers can disrupt sleep. This is one I've dealt with my children. So if babies get used to using pacifiers as a sleep prop, the problem is that then when they wake up a little bit in the middle of the night, they want the pacifier. And so they may wake up and cry for you to bring it to them. That is definitely a frustration and a problem. If it becomes too problematic, you might want to take the pacifier away, because you don't want to wake up 5 times in a night to pick up a pacifier. There are a couple things you can do. Some children, some parents will put like 6 pacifiers in a crib, and maybe they'll even be glow-in-the-dark ones so that the babies can actually find them and stick them back in by themselves. Or, like I said, you can just take them away if they're becoming a problem. But there is definitely the risk, and probably even the likelihood, that if they do fall asleep with pacifiers and get used to them, they're going to want them in the middle of the night. Number 3. Simple parental frustration. When you're dealing with pacifiers, the problem is you lose them. They're like pens or sunglasses or keys. They get lost all the time. Yes, you can put them on those little straps and clip them onto your baby, but if you don't do that, they can definitely get lost. And I know I have spent a lot of time looking for pacifiers. Number 4, pacifiers can be a tough habit to break. Once they have established the habit of using a pacifier to satisfy their sucking need, honestly, it kind of becomes like a smoking habit or a chewing gum habit. They want to just keep the behavior going because it's a habit and it's hard to break. Now, there are definitely some tips that actually I can give you and other people can give you to help make that process smoother. It's not the end of the world. You can definitely get through it, but it is a pain and it is uncomfortable to break a habit. Number 5. Pacifiers can cause tooth damage. Now, this con, as well as the next 2 after this, really only are problems if your child continues to use a pacifier beyond, let's say, age 1.5. So these are things that are not really an issue unless you have prolonged pacifier use, but I will talk you through them. So if children keep pacifiers in their mouth for long periods of time, as their teeth are coming in and their jaw is developing, it can cause the teeth to grow in strange places and the jaw to misalign. Obviously, that's not a good thing. Ideally, you want to prevent that from happening, and so you don't want to have too much pacifier use for too long. Number 6, higher ear infection risk. So children between ages 1 to 3 are pretty prone to ear infections anyways, but increased use of pacifiers at this time makes it even more likely. So that's obviously a con. Number 7, this is particularly for children who are used to keeping pacifiers in their mouth all day long and they just walk around playing with them kept in their mouth the whole time. I definitely think that that's not a good way to use a pacifier, particularly because of this, as well as the tooth problems, but it can cause speech delays. When children are sucking all the time and their mouths aren't available, they babble less, they talk less. All of those little funny baby noises that they make, that da 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 ba 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 ba, those are the beginnings of speech, and they're actually really important. So you don't want a pacifier to get in the way of that. So you don't want pacifiers to cause speech delays. On balance, my estimation is that the pros of pacifiers outweigh the cons until about age 1. So I think that using a pacifier until 1 year old can be pretty beneficial and does more good than harm. Now, not all children will take a pacifier, so it might not even be in your hands, but I have offered pacifiers to my children after nursing was established. 2 of them took them, 2 of them didn't. They were a useful tool for the 2 that did like pacifiers, and even the ones that didn't kind of liked them in those first 2 months, and even that can really buy you some peace and buy them a little calm. So I think they're, on balance, not a bad thing. They're a great tool to have in your toolbox. They might be a great fit for you. If you do decide to use pacifiers, let me give you 3 quick tips that are going to help make it as smooth as possible. Number 1, the most important thing is that you make sure you're never offering a pacifier when a child is actually hungry. You don't want the need to suck to be met by a pacifier that's not providing food when a child really needs to eat. That can reduce their weight. It can make them not grow properly. So you definitely want to be careful not to do that. So establish nursing first, make sure that they are healthy and growing well, and make sure that they're always fed first. And then when they're just sucking, just to continue to want to suck, then you offer the pacifier. Number 2, use them as little as possible. They are a great tool, but let's say you have a baby that is crying in the middle of the day. Would you rather them see sucking as a way to soothe their anxiety, or would you rather them see you and your comfort and your hug and your touch as a way to soothe their anxiety? That's better. So it's better to go in and try to hug them and soothe them and rock them first, and then use the pacifier as sort of, like a last resort, or maybe, like I said, in a car where you can't hug them. But try to use your other means first. And then as soon as they are settled, just ask them for the pacifier back or take it away and let them be used to playing calmly without the pacifier. You don't want them to be used to keeping the pacifier in their mouth all day long. It doesn't help them, and actually it reduces its effectiveness as a tool when they do get upset. So what you want to do is have them not have the pacifier most of the time, let them play comfortably, happily during the day, and then when they get upset, then you can offer them the pacifier, and then that helps calm them down. So you don't want ever to get them in a place where they're used to keeping the pacifier in their mouth all day long. So always use it as infrequently as possible. And then my last tip is that I do encourage you, if you can, to remove the pacifier by age 1. I want to make another video for you about how to go through that process, but there are a lot of pluses to getting rid of the pacifier early. You eliminate all those last cons I talked to you about that really only happen when kids are older. So you want to use it when it's most effective and most helpful, and then ditch it when the cons start to outweigh the pluses. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please click like and subscribe to our channel to keep updated on more of our parenting advice and support.